Hello, stunners. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jitterrue, and I'm your diva for dating sims and otome games and other romance games. I'm unreasonably obsessed with them. Yes, and today we are jumping right back into Gilded Shadows. Last time we were on a couch with Magnus eating snacks. It was funny because it was 2 a.m. We found him in the gym and he was like, let's go to the kitchen, you know. He snuck us into the kitchen and he stole a bunch of snacks. He broke something in there for sure. Something got broke. And then we got to learn all about him. Well, not all about him, but we got to learn more about Magnus than we had before. We got to learn that, you know, he was kind of born into this whole system. We learned that he's a sad, lonely man. So sad. And that he feels caged in a way because his whole life was spelled out before him before he even ever had a say in anything. And I think he kind of regrets that MC is now in that same position now that she's part of Endgame. Because now she, you know, whether she really wanted to or not, she has to be part of the ranks of Endgame, so they can have a super powerful psychic abilities in the form of a queen. That's what everybody wants from MC, because she's a queen, which means she has top tier psychic abilities. And Magnus is a king, which means he also has very important psychic abilities, which I'm not exactly sure what the nature of them is quite yet, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. So that's what happened last time. Now, I am super excited to jump right in. We're going to be starting off with chapter 6 today. I believe we're maybe about halfway through. So let's go ahead and get started, and then I'll do my usual spiel about what we're playing today. Yes! All right. This is Gilded Shadows. Last time in this sci-fi romance visual novel, we saw another side to Magnus besides trolling. He is a tease. He snuck into the kitchen and brought us snacks. We stayed up late talking. He's sad and lonely and beautiful. Can he really be a red flag? Well, let's find out. FYI, this stream is intended for more mature audiences. It's nothing extreme or anything like that, but just be aware. Here we go. Ah, it's Van. How was I talking for Van? Let me see. She had kind of like a little bit of an accent, if I recall. Keep up, you two. And Magnus, don't try anything weird. Please, Mara and I will not go easy on you if you talk to Rue into something stupid. Yeah, tell him. Tell him, girl. Also, he's already tried to talk us into doing stupid things, you know? He absolutely will do that. And we will do it with him. If he asks me to do something stupid but it sounds like fun, I will do it with him. Yep. Yes, I will. Magnus gave me a sidelong look, a smirk playing on his lips. Okay, hold on a second. I have to appreciate what MC is wearing right now. Look at her. She is a stunner. She looks is that a leather jacket? The jacket's hot. You know, I kind of have a leather jacket like that. It's got like pockets and stuff on it. But yeah, that looks incredible. With the little white shirt underneath there, the little white camisole. Slay, girl. Slay. Yes. Don't even think about it. You can't stop me from at least thinking about it. That's true. I can't stop you from thinking. Maybe sometimes we wish we could, but nope, not now. I mean, maybe there are some psychic powers that would be able to stop somebody from thinking about something. Maybe. I took his arm, speeding my steps to keep up with Van and Mara. You know Dane and Odette are following us, and it would be a shame for Endgame's king to get beaten up by his own guard in the middle of downtown Brazil. I don't know. The dent to Endgame's reputation might make it worth it. Wow, that's a scandalous thing to say as like their director of operations. Only to you, I'm sure. Besides, I think I've been directly involved in enough excitement for today. Can no one ever have too much excitement, Rue? Is it possible to have too much excitement? I'm gonna say yes. Yes. Yes, they can. After blowing up a training room? What? Who did that? After blowing up a training room, I think everyone would prefer if I spent the rest of the day being as unexciting as possible. Real. Because that was how my day was going so far. To be fair, it was only half accidental. I mean, destroying the training room was accidental, but we had been working on psi-bursts after all. And they designed the training rooms to withstand a certain amount of force. It wasn't that I lost control. The psi-burst was exactly as big as I wanted it to be. I just didn't understand how big I needed it to be. And yeah, I needed it to be smaller. Look, the first one was fine, but you shouldn't hold back. I know you're scared because your experience with these things isn't great. That's an understatement, Van. I destroyed a building. With people in it. Thanks, Caleb. Yes. Trust me, I know. You mentioned that at least every 2 or 3 days. Calm down, Caleb. This time, he just gave me a cockeyed grin from where he was leaning against the wall. I get it. I get it. The first time you experience an uncontrolled burst or flare or surge, it's frightening. Nearly every high-ranking Esper has to be in there. She's so encouraging, you know? She's like, it's not your fault, girl. You know? Everyone's gone through that. It happens to the best of us. Very encouraging. But if you're afraid of your abilities, it will just happen again. You can't suppress psi forever, Rue. You need to learn to control it, not just hold it in. Okay. We'll try again. Oh, can I see you do it one more time? No, you've watched me do it 5 times. You know the process. I don't want to see you mimic me. I want to see you build and release your own psi-burst using the knowledge you've gained. I rubbed my face, trying to ignore the whisper of voices behind us. I wasn't thrilled we'd gained an audience, but there wasn't much I could do about them. And Van insisted I needed to learn to work with distractions anyway. So she refused to make them leave yet. She did promise she'd chase them away later, though. I did my best to block them out as I remembered the steps Van had showed me to releasing a psi-burst. As long as I set clear parameters for my psi, it wouldn't go out of control, she said. It won't go out of control, they said. It'll be fine, they said. Right. Mental image, Van had told me, was the most important element of utilizing psi. Everyone had things that came natural to them. For the things that didn't, we had to rely on visualization of what we wanted to accomplish. Even if she didn't want me to mimic her, I still tried to recall the general shape and weight of her psi during her last demonstration. I let out a slow stream of air, closing my eyes. As I allowed my psi to coil up inside me, like a massive spring being wound for release. In front of me, I imagined a narrow corridor to contain the densely packed psi and limit the destruction to a smaller area. Opening my eyes, I flung the psionic energy at the target on the other side of the room with all the force I could muster. I was like, Kamehameha! That's what happened. It whipped away from me with enough physical force I could feel it rip through my body, and I knew a split second before it hit that I had overestimated the force needed. Van realized it at the same time, but there wasn't time to do anything but grab me and pull me back. That's 100% what happened. Thank you. Yes. I was envisioning that whole thing. Welcome, you stunner Esh. Thank you for being here. The psi exploded through the target with a deafening boom and white flash. The floor shook, sending us and the others to the ground. For a moment, I sat there stunned, eyes stinging with what I realized was smoke. There was an alarm blaring, then sprinklers. Oh no! Come on, up! She was pulling me to my feet while I dug my knuckles into my eyes, trying to clear them. There she goes again, digging her knuckles into her eyes. She does that a lot. It's not good for you, girl. Don't do that. Don't dig your knuckles into your eyeballs. Everyone out. Hurry. What happened? I tried to get a look at what I'd just done, but Van had an arm locked around my shoulders as she pulled me into the hall. Caleb activated an emergency door that slid shut before I got a look. Hello, Wonderland. Welcome, you stunner. Good to see ya. You okay? I'm fine. I looked up and realized there was a group of younger agents huddled nearby staring at me. I actually started on time today, y'all. Everyone's like, what, girl? You started on time? I usually start like 30 minutes late. Well, okay, maybe not 30 minutes late. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. Yes, Penny, I know. I know, princess. I didn't lose control of that. I just made it too big. You actually got up on time? You're such a stunner, Esh. Look, I seriously, last night, I got like 10 hours of sleep. I went to bed at like 9:30, 9:45. And then I got up at like, well, I originally got up at 7, but then I felt sleepy. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get up at 8, and I work from home, so I could just kind of like roll out of bed and start working. That's basically what happened. And I was still tired because I kept waking up because it's hot. It's hot, y'all. It is hot in here in the heat. I kept waking up hot. Hi, Penny. I didn't lose control of that. I just made it too big. Yeah, that's an understatement. Good. I mean, that's better. But it's good you stayed in control and that you're able to identify what went wrong. Caleb, Van. You know what? We're gonna treat a pup. You wanna know why? So that we can convince Penny to stop barking at me. Come here, Penny. You're gonna have to work for it since you're being so rude. Let's put dog cam on. Okay, Penny, come over here. There you go, good girl. That's the rude one right there. The rude one barking. Yes, Penny do. Hey, Princess Penny. Spin. Good spin. Good shake. There you go. Mr. Bo, you can have treats for free. Because you've been a good boy. All right, we're done for now. No more. Until the next time. Until the next time, puppers. Yes, let us get back to our story. These dogs. All right, gentlemen. Is this still a flashback? Indeed it is. Caleb, Van. Ari had left us alone earlier, but had found his way back. He stopped short when he got a look at me. Do I want to know what happened? No, you probably don't. Well. Jitterrue blew up the training room. That's what happened. Thanks, Caleb. I did, though. Ari's eyebrows went up, and he looked at me expectantly. Van told me to. Yeah, see? It's not my fault. It's never my fault. It's Van's fault. Van is responsible for this. He looked at her. I told you to fire a side burst, not to blow things up. How bad is the situation to set off the defense protocols and alert the entire compound we're under attack? They think we're under attack. Oh, God. There's a pretty big hole in 3 separate walls. 3 walls? You blew a hole straight through the target. And the wall behind it, and the wall on the opposite side of the dressing room, and the wall on the opposite side of the room behind that? Yes. I hope everyone's okay. I hope nobody got hurt. You know? Oh, God. Oops. Girl. Yeah, a little bit oops. Also, the floor is kind of on fire. And some of the training equipment. Oh, God. That would explain the sprinkler system activating. Yeah, and she hit the showers. So there's water from that, too. Oh, God. I'm betting the water's not mixing well with the VR simulation room on the other side of the showers. Ari let out a very fatherly sigh and told me he was never leaving the 3 of us alone during training again. It's kind of like that meme where the guy's gone for like a little bit. He comes back in with a bunch of boxes of pizzas and he walks into the room. There's a fire. Somebody's kind of trying to put the fire out. People are screaming. Somebody's hurt. Everything's like going up crazy. Everything's going up in flames. And he's like, I can't leave you people alone for 5 minutes or this happens. This is basically what's happening right here. Understood. Let's have the defenses stand down first, then shut off power to the entire area until the water is no longer an issue. So that had been fun. After she was done being startled, Van laughed a lot, considering she was the responsible party at the time it happened. Caleb alternated between looking like he found it hilarious and annoying. Ari handled the entire situation like the world's most exasperated dad once everything had calmed down a little. I can see him being like that. I got a very stern lecture, which was softened by Van definitely not taking it as seriously as she should. Or at least as Ari thought she should. I guess we ought to be glad you didn't bring the whole damn building down on us. It was nowhere near a big enough explosion for that. He can't not bring that up. Every time, every day. He has to bring that up every freaking day. Maybe I should bring up more often the fact that you kidnapped me. How about that? Okay? He will bring it up forever. Seriously. Caleb, stop. Oh my God. See, every time he brings that up, MC needs to be like, okay, excuse me, kidnapper. Okay? That was not for no reason that happened. This time, though, I think it would be wise to consider moving Cyber's training outside going forward. Yeah, but then what if innocent civilians get in the way on accident? You know, maybe that's worse. You think? What if we go outside at the very top of a very tall building on the roof? And then, you know, as far as the eye can see, there's just the sky, you know, and nobody's gonna get in the way. That sounds better to me. I believe many others will think so as well. Did you see the looks on those rookies' faces, though? It's a big compound. They have acres of outside training space. That sounds smart. That could be useful. Okay, I get ya. All right, good idea, good idea. Van, that's not funny. They look terrified of me. Oh man, that was great. I didn't think you'd explode multiple rooms, though I'm glad you took my encouragement to heart. If you had given more precise instructions regarding the desired magnitude, perhaps it would have been more effective than mere encouragement. Oh, come on. Who here hasn't destroyed part of a training room at least once? I have not. I like how Van is really trying to be encouraging, you know? She's really trying to be a good friend, you know? She's like, it's all right, girl. Everybody done it. At least once. But then Ari's being a stick in the mud, you know? He's like, not me. Ari is a square. He is very square. Van is adorable. She's so adorable. I absolutely love her. Actually, I wouldn't mind being related to her. Like, I feel like she could be my cousin. You know? She could be my cousin. And I would appreciate that. Countless punching bags. I put holes in the walls a couple of times as well. See? Sometimes Caleb can actually, like, he can actually be nice. He's a tsundere, you know? He's like, at his core, he can be a jerk most of the time. But deep down inside, he actually loves me. I seem to recall Jack throwing you through a wall once. Ooh, Jack? Like Jack Visser? That Jack? The one with the blue hair? Is that who she was talking about? Or a different Jack? First, I threw him through the wall. Second, we were 24. I have less training than you did when you were 24. That same Jack. I'm like, wow, amazed. Wait, is that Jack part of Endgame? Did I miss something? He was part of Endgame? Well, I guess they do recruit everybody as children. He like escaped. He must have escaped. He was part of Endgame in the past. He was! Oh my gosh. Juicy. His sister was the previous queen. That was his sister? The previous queen. That was his sister! Oh my god. Juicy. I'm not blaming you. I hope you realize. Van is right that it's not uncommon. It's just uncommon here. That was the worst time commercial. Hold on a second. Let's see. Let's see if maybe I can free you from that. There you go. No more ad gel for you. Hee hee. All right. Yeah, yay. Also, I need water. I have water with minerals and caffeine in it. That's what I have. No more ad gel for you, Ash. You're free. You're free. Yes. Van is right that it's not uncommon. It's just uncommon here. Most of this shit goes down at the academy. We rarely have beginners learning to use their psi here at the Central Tower training areas. Even at the academy, there aren't beginners with your level of power. My primary concern is that this is going to cause quite a lot of furor for the next few days in particular. There were many witnesses, The damage was extensive. Okay, thanks, Ari. Thanks for that. We get it. We screwed stuff up. Okay. Okay? We were fortunate no one was seriously injured or worse. Okay, I'm glad no one got hurt. It's not like people aren't already talking about me. I know, real girl. I don't think you understand how significant it is that a small psi burst did this much damage. I know, I guess it just goes to show how powerful I am. For the most people, a small psi burst dents a target. On top of that, most would be laid out with a screaming migraine, and at least mild psi fatigue from a psi burst of that magnitude. You don't even have a headache. You've been making rapid progress since you started training. Very rapid. It's already been noticed. Neuro enhancements only explain so much. And now this. Not much I can do about it. First, the council was pushing me to train before I was recovered, and now everyone's freaking out because I'm a little too strong for comfort. I won't hide in my flat for a week to avoid rumors. Well, we'll at least get you out of the tower for a few hours until the excitement dies down a little. Maybe we can find a way to downplay that. You got the entire defense system freaking out from a single psi burst. He looked almost amused when he said that. In any case, it's not like we can continue training when there's a mess to clean up. That was true, and I doubted they wanted me in another training room soon. And that explained why we were out wandering Bracel, supposedly on an errand. Magnus, though. I gave him a sidelong look. Van and I were ambushed by him in the lobby. He tried to sneak out with us, but Van notified his guard, so Mara had to come retrieve him. She even threatened to drag him back up to his office by his braid, which appeared to be a favorite threat among the upper staff, who dealt with him on a regular basis. How rude! I was the one who intervened. Yeah, don't be mean to Magnus, okay? He's Pookie. It just annoyed me, seeing them shut him down, as if he wasn't allowed to leave the building. For the guy being in charge, no one respects him. So sad. I understood to at least some degree, especially with the city having been on edge from the Jitterrue posts, the protests. But the situation was calm now, and we had plenty of people to protect him. If something like that happened, it wasn't as if there weren't ways to get him to safety. You know, like in chess, you have to get the king to safety. You have to protect the king. Yep, or you lose. And he's our king. Mara, Ari, and the others would be there. There were options. And watching them refuse to let him leave as much as they were practically dragging me out of the building to hide me away for a while, it gave the feeling of seeing my future, of being either protected or hidden away somewhere, or both. And I didn't like that. When I stood up for him, Magnus also pushed harder. It took me a little by surprise since he was usually laid back, but we convinced him, which meant the rest of the guard was calmed down, and now the entire first guard was on a simple delivery mission. I liked the idea of all the elites wandering around on some trivial mission. Oh, it had a certain symmetry to it. Even if I had no idea where we were going, or if there was even a real errand. We all knew it was just an excuse to get me out of the tower for a while. I'd seen the way those rookies looked at me after the explosion. I just couldn't win with these people. Oh, poor MC. Like I'd said at the tower, first I wasn't progressing fast enough. Now I was progressing too fast. It was ridiculous. When I thought about it, I felt like I should have blown up more than a couple of rooms just to make a statement. Yeah, tell him, girl. Tell him. With explosions. Though I doubt it would have helped me in any functional way. Besides, the others said accidents like this weren't uncommon. You're frowning quite heavily there. Rue. It's been that kind of a day. It always is, isn't it? What a depressing thing to say. Sorry about that. You didn't look sorry, as usual. So why did you come with us again? It seemed. Interesting, yes, I got it. I was hoping we could leave without the entire guard in tow. Van and Mara were the only two walking with us, but the others were all following behind. That worked out well. It worked out like it normally does. I was pleased to see you push them to let me come too. I guess it feels a little like we need to stick together. We're birds of a feather. We should stick together, me and Magnus. I suppose it does, at that. I'm glad you see it that way. Our group paused at an intersection, waiting for the light to turn on so we could cross. Van and Mara were standing a few steps away from Magnus and I. Where the other guard members were, I wasn't sure. I was keeping my sphere in a pretty tight radius, and they were outside even the dim fog that defined its outer edges. A few other people joined us, and after a moment of silence, a thin little voice spoke up. Pretty! When I caught sight of the little girl, I realized she was staring up at Magnus, mouth agape. I glanced at him at the exact moment he realized she was talking about him. I guess he did look pretty, with the sun behind him, glancing off his long hair like that. He is a pretty man. I agree with that little kid. A very pretty man. You hear Princess Penny. Want to know why she's being like that? It's because my husband is eating. You know what? I'll kick you out of here. You can go beg. And he's not going to give you anything. He might give you table scraps, actually. Would you like to go beg for a dinner that's not yours? She already ate dinner. She had dog dinner already. And she had her after dinner snack. But I'll be right back. I'm going to let her out of here. I am back. I have returned. And Penny and Beau are now in the kitchen begging for food that's not theirs. Dogs. That's what dogs do. Let us continue our story. Oh yes, we were admiring the beauty of Magnus. He is a very pretty man. You know who else is pretty like that? What's his name? Lucas. I think I said this last time. Lucas from Vierge. Also pretty with long blonde hair. My goodness, what a charming young lady. The girl's mother looked ready to die from embarrassment. Lights turned on. Let's go, princess. No one respects this man. Poor Magnus. How rude. I'm going to assume you're speaking to Rue. Sure, your highness. She smirked as we hurried across. The mother pulled her still staring daughter away from us as we reached to the other side. Oh, there's Mara. I don't think I've seen this outfit on Mara yet. What is... That's a cool shirt. It's very stylish. I like it a lot. Mara. I don't remember. I think I had kind of a breathy, nasally voice for her. Man, these kids always have the worst taste. Well, what does that say about me? Are you saying that because I like Magnus, I think he's pretty too. Are you telling me I have the worst taste? How dare you? Well, kids just say about anything that comes to mind. When I was young, I once shouted at a friend's father who was a bit bald on top, demanding to know where his hair was. Oh, adorable. That's definitely something a little kid would do, for real. Little kids are rude like that. My mother was mortified, but my father laughed for 2 weeks afterwards. Oh, a bookstore. How quaint. We should stop in. Oh, that story is from your son. Adorable. I love that. That's a good one. That's a good one to put in the visual novel. I like it. He did that to someone's dad while I was dropping him off at preschool. Aww. Oh my gosh, that's so cute and funny. And I can understand how you were probably like, oh, face palm at the same time. Magnus, we're not on a tour. Come on. Maybe we should stop and get a coffee while we're out as well. Van shot him an exasperated glance, and I couldn't help but wonder why they all let him get away with such a blatant teasing. You know what? They're teasing him right back, so he's like, you know what? I'm gonna tease you. If you're gonna tease me, I'm gonna tease you. You were trying not to laugh. You're too much of a gremlin to be embarrassed. That's even better. So I have a funny story about little kids and the things that they say. So my first job, I was a camp counselor. I was a camp counselor in training and working in the kitchen first. And then later years, I became a counselor. And I remember I was living in a cabin for a while with a whole bunch of like 7-year-olds and stuff. And I remember one time one of them ran up to me and she was like, so-and-so, I can't remember the boy's name. So-and-so said the J word. And I was like, the J word. And I didn't know what the J word was. I'd never heard of the J word. And I was like, what's that? And she goes, jerk. I was like, oh, that's the J word. The J word is jerk. Also, one time I asked the kids, all right, which is there more of in the world? Is there more bacon or more pigs when we were at breakfast? Are there more pigs in the world or there are more bacon in the world? And this one little kid said, I know, Miss Rue. There's more bacon in the world because for every 1 pig, you get 3 slices of bacon. Therefore, there's more bacon in the world. Kid logic. It was adorable. Just 3. You only get 3 slices of bacon. That's it. Per pig. Per every pig. Fine. Look, I have a plan. Magnus and Rue can go over there. She pointed to a corner cafe. Just sit calmly. The others are nearby anyway. They'll monitor you. Van and I will go take care of this errand. You two can get some cake or something. Oh, we're getting a reward, Magnus. Only 3, Jambi, just 3. And welcome, Stunner. Thank you for hanging out. And babysitters, I notice. Well, we clearly can't be trusted to behave like adults if we're alone. Definitely not. Not the 2 of you. The 2 of you together, definitely not behaving like adults. Because the last time we were together alone, we snuck into the kitchen, stole snacks, and definitely broke something in there. Speak for yourself. I am an incredibly mature 42-year-old, you know. How venerable. Oh, God. I think he's contagious. You know what? Yes, you know what? Whatever he has, I want it. I'll catch it. It's fine. Okay? I'll take all the Magnus. We'll have to worry about detoxing her later. I grinned at them both as we headed for the cafe, and this time I expanded my sphere just to locate the others. I was certain Van was already informing them we were splitting up. It wasn't like I didn't know why they were so protective of Magnus. Orders aside, he was important. He's very important, you know? He's our king. You love this troublesome man. So do I, Jambi. I'm on the Magnus train with you. Yes to Magnus. But it was vexing to be treated like children. Though I suppose they had a reason to be worried one of us would do something stupid. I glanced at Magnus as we took a seat at the cafe and he loudly called for a server. You know what? If one of us does something stupid, it's definitely going to be Magnus. I mean, I guess MC could do something stupid. She has been known to be doing some stuff. But that's never been her fault. Magnus, on the other hand, when he does something stupid, it's always his fault. I've heard the other agents frequent this shop often. You've never been? Only once, a few years ago. Once handed a menu, Magnus looked down at it, the smile freezing on his face. His brow furrowed, a hand going to his chin as he stared down thoughtfully. I have no idea what any of this is. What kind of restaurant are you at? Well, if you never went to cafes, I suppose a list of coffee drinks could be confusing. Oh, he just doesn't go out often. We knew that. We knew that. But don't they have restaurants inside of the... They have cafes and stuff inside of the tower, right? The endgame tower? I guess just the cafeteria kind of stuff in the lounge? What do you like? I can help you order. What I like, Is this a date? Are we on a date right now? I like that. Do you like things that are a little sweet or maybe a little bitter? He suddenly looked uncomfortable. Setting the menu down instead of answering, he turned his gaze out to the passing cars. Hey! I reached across the table, setting my hands on his. He gave me a startled look that he hastily replaced with his usual placid smile. I covered my hand with his, or his hand with mine. How romantic of me. That familiar mask was back in place. Are you all right? Magnus removed my hands from his, smiling wider. I'm fine. I didn't think he was. It was just a small thing, but I could see there was something more to it than he was letting on. He pushed the menu away and leaned on the table, watching me curiously. I wonder how far we'll get if we try to escape. Ooh, Magnus! Now he's the one trying to escape. He's conspiring. Have you ever thought about that? Now that you've begun working on teleportation. You have, yes. A little? I've only worked on understanding the concept and limitations of teleportation for a few days, not actually putting it into practice, though. Oh dear, I need to ask Ari to speed up your training a little. Never thought of making a break for it even once? Not really. Given up on going home already? We've talked about this, have we? Yes, a while ago. You said Endgame would never stop looking for me. Have we really? The way he said that caused me to study his face for a long moment. I couldn't quite put my finger on his expression. It was perplexed, frustrated. It was the day you gave me a tour of Cor Solaris. The frown deepened, then relaxed into a faint resignation. Ah. You don't remember? I remember some of that. Hi, Sephiroth! Welcome, you stunner. Thank you for being here. Guess what I'm doing right now? You see this beautiful blonde man? I'm rizzing him up. He's talking about escaping, you know, we work for like this paramilitary kind of organization. And he's basically been born into it. And I I'm starting to get the feeling that he doesn't want to do this anymore. You know, he's talking about like, what if we escaped? What if we ran away? You know, I'm like, you really don't want to do this, do you? You want to run away and live happily ever after. That's what he wants. You know what? I would do that with you, Magnus. If you want to elope together, no one will ever find us. Okay, we'll find a way to hide. We'll hide and we'll just like live in the woods together. Just the two of us. Exactly. Riz that gorgeous man. Riz him. Yes, we will riz. I remember some of that. It hit me then with full force. There was something more to Magnus than just being forgetful, wasn't there? Something deeper than that. Yes, he's actually a sad boy in disguise, you know. He acts so laissez-faire, like nothing bothers him, you know. He teases and trolls all the time. But deep down inside, he's traumatized, and I love him. Okay, listen, I love sad boys. Right? If they cry in front of me, I love them even more. Give me your tears, Magnus. A few of his other stray comments came back to me too. And I wondered what had happened to him. Yes, what happened to Magnus? Who hurt you, Magnus? Who did this to you? Why? Why are you so sad? What happened to your past? I must find out. He rested his chin on his hands as he smiled at me, and I knew I'd probably never be able to ask him about it. But I made a mental note to tread more carefully when it came to that subject. Anyway, I hear your teleportation has been going well. Better than my psi burst if we base it on how many times I've destroyed something during training with Ari. Guess what, Sephiroth? We totally blew up a room. We blew up the training room and like 3 other rooms on accident. Basically, we did the Kamehameha. You know, that's what happened. Our little queen is showing exceptional talent. The council is pleased. But it's concerning. It's concerning that I have talent. Even we view powerful espers as a potential danger, Rue. Even when they're your own agents. Of course. Think about me. What would happen if I were to go rogue? Why, the entire world would be in danger. You'd think after all these years they would understand you won't do that. Well, I certainly do my best to ensure they're confident in my loyalties. Do you? Because it seems like you give them shit all the time. You're not exactly like the obedient type, Magnus. You shouldn't have to do that. Huh. You know, Endgame started as a force to protect the world. It's becoming a force to control espers. He makes sure they're confident. He didn't say he's actually loyal. Oh! Sipping tea. Good way to put that. Interesting. Yes. And did you know, the more connections we espers have to the outside world, the more unpredictable we might be. Ooh, he's really conspiring, isn't he? That's why I said you have to really pay attention to what he says. Yeah, there's a lot of double meanings to the things that this man says. Magnus and obedient are the same sentence. Sounds so weird. In the same sentence. Magnus, obedient. Definitely doesn't go together. But he knows how to put on a face. He does know how to do that. He can put on a mask. He does know how to manipulate. I will say that. It was this again. This thing he did where he was trying to communicate something other than what his words were saying. The double meaning. I didn't have the patience to decipher it. What's this about, Magnus? Magnus would say something subtly spicy about being obedient if he was here, Jambi. Yeah, subtly spicy. The council has discovered I was sending messages to your parents for you. Oh no! He got caught. Oh no, we weren't supposed to have connection to our parents, but he was smuggling letters back and forth. Oh no, how sad. Oh no, what's gonna happen? I've been officially reprimanded. He's like, oh, they slapped me on the wrist. Oh. Wait, what? Reprimanded how? Is everything? Oh, it was nothing major. I didn't want you to get in trouble for my sake. Don't worry about it too much. What are they going to do to me? But they're watching now, so it may be difficult to continue. They should reinstate my access if they don't want us to circumvent their orders. It's getting ridiculous at this point. They're definitely way over controlling. Like, I totally feel Magnus and MC. Like, they've had it up to here with the council being, like, controlling to the maximum degree. It's pretty ridiculous at this point. I told you, the more connections we have to the outside, the more unpredictable we are. That's the real reason why they don't want us to have connection with our family. It had nothing to do about the safety of our family. Nothing to do with that. It was about controlling us. You can't tell me other agents don't communicate with their families. Of course they do. Some of them. You'd be surprised how many agents aren't close to their families at all. Endgame becomes their family, and other bonds wither. Well, especially too because they're recruited, most of them, when they're children, and they grow up in the system, which means the system becomes their family. That makes sense. We all become completely entwined with Endgame. Thank you for dreaming. Drink actual water. I do need water. I have water with caffeine in it. You aren't like that. Our ideals haven't been impressed upon you. Duty hasn't been impressed upon you. Yeah, because I'm new and I'm a grown-ass woman. I wasn't recruited as a child. Oh, thank you for a dreaming stretch. I do need that. Yes. Beautiful stretching. We're going to do some deep breathing together, too. Isn't that nice? I hope you realize what you're talking about sounds like brainwashing. You know what's good for me? Yes, you do. Hearts. You get hearts. Thank you for taking good care of me. Listen, y'all, I saw this crazy YouTube video earlier today. It was like a documentary about a streamer. This girl has been streaming for like 5 years straight. And she had like every day and every night for like 5 years. I think she's still streaming right now to this day. Yeah, her entire life has been nothing but streaming. I'm like, I can't even, I would never even want to do like a tiny fraction of that. I appreciate having privacy, you know? I appreciate being able to like get off of my computer sometimes. I appreciate being able to just get away. And I have, you know, I really like my schedule. Hi, Meryl. Welcome, Stunner. How are you? Thank you for being here. But yeah, I'm definitely ain't gonna be like people that do, like, 5 years is intense, but I have seen streamers doing things like 24-hour streams. I saw someone doing a week-long stream one time and I was like, holy crap, how do you do that? I could never do something like that. The longest stream I think I ever did was like 8 hours. Because I just didn't want to stop playing the game, basically. I hope you realize what you're talking about sounds like brainwashing. Well, I don't know if it's brainwashing. Certainly, specific ideas form the core of endgame values, and they are taught from a very young age. While some of our agents push back against those ideals, there's little they can do from the inside. What are they going to do? Rebel and end up demoted or incarcerated? Or complain? No one is going to change or topple Endgame from complaining. Neither am I. Or are you suggesting the council is afraid I'm going to topple Endgame because I want to call my mum? Yes, that's how I've decided that's how he talks. Yep, he's the only one with that accent too. You fight against the current more than the average agent because of your connections to the outside and beliefs that don't align to what our agents are taught. And, in a way, you encourage those around you to do the same. Whether it's circumventing orders or influencing the things we do, such as encouraging the others to let me come with you today. Without you, they never would agree. If I hadn't taken an interest in you, I never would have disobeyed orders. And on top of that, you are very talented. The last queen was like this too. Because she came to Endgame later than usual. She did not always do things as the council wished, and they were never quite happy with her. I ran my finger over my lower lip, watching him carefully. Was it possible Magnus had only come with us today hoping to get me alone so we could talk? Ooh, because in the tower, they're probably listening to everything we say, No privacy. That was the feeling I was getting anyway. It's time for a choice. Why are you telling me this? What happened to her? Or are you telling me to be careful? Ooh. This. Are you telling me to be careful? I'm telling you that you should be very careful. Or what? People of our rank are priceless, Rue. In some ways, irreplaceable. It doesn't mean they won't try to find ways around that if they deem us dangerous. If they feel they can't control us. It seems there are limited ways to replace people of our rank, Magnus. It's not as if they have kings and queens just waiting in the shadows to take her place. His expression darkened, but oddly, he didn't respond to that right away, and when he did... I said it before, Endgame has its secrets, Rue. Do not assume its council is trustworthy just because they've convinced everyone they are. Even the purest of intentions can tarnish with time, and Endgame has been around for many years. So what does being careful look like? Don't show them every card in your hand going forward. It's always best to have a few tricks up your sleeve. So, hold back. Hide my full abilities. I wasn't sure I knew how to do that. Well, that sort of talk is not fit for Endgame's king and queen. It certainly doesn't suit such a beautiful day. It's nice to spend some time in the sun once in a while, isn't it? Yeah. And there was one of his breakneck subject changes again to signify the conversation was over. I, on the other hand, could not shift my thinking quite so fast, and for a while we sat in silence. The server came back and I ordered a coffee for us both. You know what makes this so juicy is the fact that he's like the managing director of Endgame. There's the council that's on top, the council that makes all the decisions, and then he's the next one in charge. His job is to carry out the wishes of the council and to manage the community, essentially. Make sure that things are happening on time, that stuff is moving forward. So it's especially spicy that he's talking this way because of his position, you know, and he was born into the system as well, you know, and yet he is secretly not loyal. And now that we've known him now long enough and he trusts us, you know, he trusts MC, and he knows that MC is kind of an outsider still, you know? This is spicy. He's definitely working MC up to, he's planting seeds right now. I think he wants MC to help him escape. I think that's what he wants. I think he wants to elope and live in the woods together forever. That's what I think. But he can't do it without us because his abilities wouldn't allow it. He needs us. If he's going to escape, he needs us to help him. Now, whether or not it's because he loves us, he's like into us romantically, or if it's like, you know, he's manipulating us because he wants us to use our powers for his benefit, I guess that's up for debate. So far, though, I think he's into us. You know, I think he likes us. This is an Otome game, so I think he's probably desperately in love with me. Real. I'll try to talk to the council again about your system access. Don't do it if it's just going to get you in more trouble. I already said it. What else can they do to me? Yeah, exactly. What are they going to do? Fire him? They're not going to fire him. They know he's also like a little bit of a rogue too. They know that, well, here's the other thing. He's got a family member. His mom is on the council. So that probably protects him too. You know, he could get away with being a little naughty sometimes because mother will cover for him. You know? Also, yeah, what are they going to do? Fire him? He's a king rank. How many king ranks are there? He's like super rare. Queen and king rank espers, they're like almost unheard of. Everybody wants them. So they're not going to let him go. They're not going to fire him because they need his power and A, king rank. B, mother dearest. Okay? He ain't going nowhere unless he manages to escape on his own. But still, you two are still here then. And they were back. I set my mostly empty cup on the table and looked up at her. Where did you think we would go with 4 people keeping an eye on us? Well, I'm almost shocked we didn't get a call that Maggie talked you into doing something wild. We just sat here and talked, that's all. You forgot how much you loved her hair? I know, her hair is amazing. And then I saw her sister's hair the other day, and I was like, oh my god! It's similar to Van's hair, but it's just way longer. That's my hair goals. She looked back and forth between the two of us several times. I knew there was no way my expression was neutral after what Magnus and I discussed earlier. She didn't inquire further. Yeah, you can just pretend like he just said something embarrassing like, I love you, Rue. Oh, you thought they were saying not siblings. Whoops. Siblings are dating. That's a fun game to play. Siblings are dating. That reminds me, a long time ago, I used to live in a resort community, a resort town, and we used to have this game called Date or Daughter, because there was a lot of old men with these like young women, you know, very common, like 56-year-old dudes with like 20-year-old girlfriends. Yep, it was very common. We see it constantly. And sometimes it would even be kind of tough to figure out, is that a date or a daughter? Some people are surprisingly handsy with their daughters, you know? Surprisingly. Date or daughter? That's so bad if it became a game. Exactly. Exactly, Meryl. Yes. It should be all right for us to head back to the tower. Everything should have simmered down a little. Simmered down. Sprinklers should be off. Alarms reset. Hopefully the fire is out. I'm pretty sure they had the fire put out before we left. Oh, thank you for redeeming Treat a Pup. Are they still in here or did I kick him out? They have been kicked out. They've been kicked out. But the second, whenever they come back in here, yeah. When they come back in here, we're going to do a Treat a Pup just for you, Sefriu. Yes, we will. Right now, they're busy begging my husband for his food, even though they already had dinner. Listen, these dogs, they're so bougie. They're so spoiled. They get fresh cooked homemade meals, okay? And then like all the vitamins and stuff with it, okay? They get like little snacks throughout the day, you know? They get to like lay up on the couch all day long while my husband and I work. You know, they like nap on the couch. They're so spoiled. They get to go on adventures, you know? We go out on adventures. We go to like little trails and stuff. This weekend, I'm going to take them on a trail, on a nature trail for sure. Instead of just throughout the neighborhood. They're very spoiled. Very spoiled. I guess we'll find out. I would be surprised if they didn't put the fire out right away. The fire was indeed out when we arrived back at Corsolaris, and the damage was being repaired. I learned what the others meant about rumors the moment we were back. There was a shift in the atmosphere, the way people looked at us, the lower murmur of voices. So I'd come straight to my flat alone and had been there since we got back, and I spent most of my time thinking about what Magnus had said to me about hiding my actual ability. Magnus is like, listen, Rue, you need to be a little bit more manipulative like me, okay? Listen, they think I'm loyal. They have no idea that I'm conspiring to escape. No idea at all. All right, Rue? You just need to be a little bit sneaky, okay? And if you do that, maybe we can get out of here together. Yes, let us elope. Let's run away into the forest. No one will find us. Or we'll figure out a way. I'm going to make it happen. Yes. That's what he's like. I wasn't used to doing that. I also didn't enjoy having to be suspicious of everyone. That's because you a sweet summer child, girl. Maybe Magnus had learned to live like that, but I didn't think I could. So what alternatives were open to me? Magnus had asked earlier if I had ever thought of escaping, but where could I go that Endgame couldn't reach me? Some place like the court would just be the same as walking into Crimson's arms, and that would be worse than Endgame. That's like, they're a mafia, right, Esh? There were some espers that took refuge on Sire. I didn't even know how I'd managed that sort of escape, especially now, when things there had gone to hell. Is that another planet? I think it's on another planet, right? Crimson is great, MC? You like Crimson? Meryl's like, yes, MC, go to Crimson MC. It's hot over there. As in there's hot men, huh? I saw that one dude that kind of looks like a vampire. Vampire looking hottie. Lol? Crimson might not be, but some of the people in it. It's not safe. Jack is there. Yeah, Jack is in like the other one. Go join the mafia, MC. Exactly. Yeah, MC, you can join the mafia. Okay? Go join that hot vampire looking dude. When I chose Endgame, I didn't expect it to be like this. I didn't expect I was coming to a place people would warn me about the leadership. Was it a mistake? But if it was, I didn't know how to correct it now. I pulled a pillow on my lap, frowning at the blue sky. Magnus seemed to have been telling me not to rock the boat, but what if I needed to rock the boat? Not just for my benefit, but his too. A sudden thought hit me and I straightened, eyes wide and stomach fluttering. Okay, well, no, he's telling you not just don't rock the boat. That wasn't his message. His message was be sneaky about it. Okay? He said he said this basically, rebel secretly. Secret rebellion. Hi, Milky. Welcome you, Stunner. I'm so happy to see you. Yes, yes. My mind went back to what Lethe had said the afternoon I met her. That there was something significant blocking out the future of the Moirai. Okay, y'all, about that name. So I looked it up. So I was taught, okay, I studied ancient Roman Latin and culture and part of Greek culture a little bit as well for 6 years. And I learned to pronounce that in class as Lethe because that's how the ancient folks would have said it. But apparently, according to Google searches and a few different like pronunciation guide websites, modern people say Lethe. That's what modern people say. So there's a few things like that that ancient people pronounced words differently than modern words. So here, another example would be the three-headed dog of the underworld. The ancient people, especially the ancient Romans, they would have called him Kerberos. Modern people, we say Cerberus. You know, that's what we say. That's not how the ancient people would have said it. Another example would be Caesar. Modern people say Caesar. Ancient people would have said Caesar. And Caesar is the reason why there's the Russian version would be like Kaisar. See? Because honestly, the Romans had such a great reach. They even made it into Europe, you know? They called the Europeans barbarians. But anyways, why did we become less cool? My hair looks like cotton candy. It does look delicious. Yes. Anyway, back to our story. Now that I'm all, but I like saying Lethe, you know? I like the ancient. That's what I was taught is how the ancient people said it. But anyways, you would also be correct if you said Lethe. You'd probably be more correct if you said Lethe. But I like Lethe better, so that's what we're calling her. And I was at the center. Was I going to do something drastic here? Were they going to force me to? That made me little sense. That made little sense considering she said they needed me while Magnus had said I represented a change people didn't like. I think both can be true, girl. I think both of that can. I think that you can be needed and at the same time represent a truth that represent change. And people oftentimes don't like change, especially these people that are in charge, you know, and they want the power. I think both can be true, so I think it makes perfect sense, actually. I was probably overthinking it, but what if I wasn't? Y'all know what one of my favorite movies? This is an old movie. I think it came out in like the early 2000s. Something like that, maybe the late 90s, probably like the early 2000s. Still one of my favorite movies to this day. It's got Christian Bale in it and Taye Diggs. Delicious. Anyways, it's called, why is the name of it blanking all of a sudden? Hold on. Oh my God. I had it in my head and then the second I was going to tell you what it was called, it blipped out of my brain. Taye Diggs and Christian Bale. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's called Equilibrium and came out in 2002. And the premise of Equilibrium is that it's in the future. It's a very futuristic. Pretty much everyone wears black, white, or gray. And emotions have become illegal in that movie. And that's part of the reason why nobody wears colors and things like that. And so there's a faction of people who are secretly maintaining their emotions. Like there's even like this drug that everybody takes to dampen their emotions because emotions are illegal and you can have families and stuff like that. But even the emotion of things like love, All of that is illegal. And the reason why they did that is because, you know, emotions are dangerous. Emotions lead to war. Emotions lead to crime. Emotions lead to violence, right? And so they made that illegal. And Christian Bale, he was part of the government group that was, his job was to enforce people, the law. And he would actually go in and he would go in and you know, if there was a group of people, they were kind of they'd become violent, and he would go and kick ass, you know. And unfortunately, he would murk people who were sense offending, as it were. And then Taye Diggs was also in the organization, and it was a higher rank than him. And then there was also Sean Bean. Sean Bean was in it, so you know what happens to him just because it's Sean Bean. Because what happens to Sean Bean in any movie is what happens to Sean Bean in every movie. Okay. And so, anyways, Sean Bean leads Christian Bale's character. I can't remember what the character's names, just like who the actors were. Can't remember. But anyway, yeah, it goes really deep into like this kind of utopia, but also dystopia. It goes really deep into control over, like, way too much government control to the point to where you can't even have emotions without getting taken out. And, you know, the whole idea that having these emotions and having these like core human parts to you made you harder to control, right? But then there's also like these themes about freedom and you know, breaking out of that system, and even if you were to lose your life because you decided to discover love, you know, you fell in love and you didn't take the drugs anymore, like, and how worth it was to have that love, even if it meant the end of your life. Like, I'm feeling like some of that movie kind of is echoed. Some of these themes are in this game, and it kind of reminds me a little tiny bit of Equilibrium. Anyways, it's a really awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You should go check it out. It's really good, especially if you like this game. Again, it's very different. You know, we don't, like, the people don't have magic powers. They don't have, they're not psychics and stuff like that. But it does have that kind of futuristic government control, you know, the idea of being free to kind of live your own life the way you want to live it versus being obedient and being controlled by like a super government, essentially. So yeah, if this kind of theme is interesting to you, go check out Equilibrium. I'm sure you could find it somewhere where you could rent it on Amazon Movies or something. The person I went to with most problems was Mum, and I couldn't even talk to her about this. Even if Magnus hadn't been caught, I doubted he'd let me express any of this to her. I flopped against the arm of the sofa, throwing an arm across my eyes. Now what? I wasn't a good little soldier. There was no way I could be that for them. In the end, I had only so much patience, and no matter how well I tried to play that part, it wouldn't work. Eventually, I would snap or slip up. Especially if they kept trying to isolate me from the outside. Feeding me breadcrumbs would sustain me much longer. I could try to hold back during training. I could keep my frustration to myself. But for how long? I hadn't meant for there to be a big event today. I wasn't trying to do something powerful. So how effective would I be at holding back? Hi, Midnight. Welcome you, Stunner. Thank you for deeming Treat a Pup. I'm sorry to say to both you and Seth for you. Doggos are not in here right now. They're busy being outside on the other side of the door. They were like, you know, they got some snacks earlier though, but the second they are back in here, Because they wanted to hang out with the hubby. So I was like, go hang out with him. Go go bark at him. You know, don't bark at me. But the second they come back, we will double treat them. Yes, we will. So how effective would I be at holding back? It wasn't a mask I could maintain for long. Oh no! You'll have sad doggos soon enough, though. I'm sure they'll come running in here soon. But listen, okay, it's not that they're not here. They're just not in the room, you know? But they will be back soon. I wasn't like Magnus. And that meant I would have to think about what to do if, at some point, my not being controllable became a problem the council believed it needed to fix. I wonder if there's some other way to get a message to Mum. Some way that doesn't involve Magnus. Everything usually went through the net and all communications within Core Solaris were monitored, but... what if there was a way to contact her the next time I was out of the compound? I always had people with me, and there was no way I'd have time for a lengthy conversation. But if the situation was as dire as Magnus made it seem, maybe all I needed was to let her know I may need help. But would that put them in danger? Ooh, I think it probably would, girl. Who knows what the council would do to your family? They don't need your family, they need you. You know? You're the one that they need to control, not them. I wouldn't be surprised if they used your family against you as a measure to control you. I mean, that's partly why they don't want you to have communications with your family, or probably the biggest reason why they don't want you to communicate with your family. Was Endgame capable of harming civilians? Oh, why wouldn't they be? I needed to think on that more. As a single person, I couldn't go against Endgame. I couldn't spark the revolution Magnus indicated they feared I might. But if I had to, I would find a way to run. Even if, more than ever, I felt like I was in way over my head. I thought about that for hours, turning the situation around in my head to look at it from every angle. I just noticed that the lighting in the room changed. That was a really nice effect. It's like the sun is going down. Nice touch, Esh. By the way, Esh, thank you for the game music. It helped my baby fall asleep. Oh, how sweet. You know, a lot of people come to this stream just to fall asleep. And Rue's voice is soothing. Like Milky. Milky's like regularly tells me that she comes to this stream just to fall asleep. Yep. The baby likes the game OST. You know what? The baby, it's a stunner baby, okay? It's a stunner baby. Born into the stunner community. Now, there are some stunner children out there for sure. You know? They're adorable. We appreciate them. They just, they just weren't born at the time when inside of the community, you know? The ads woke the baby up. No! Stupid ads. I fell asleep that evening on the sofa without even changing my clothes. System reboot. The system is rebooting. Establishing connection. System access granted. Really? Was this Magnus's doing? I thought they purposefully didn't want me to have access. What's happening? I awoke with a start. Pain shooting through my shoulder blade as a reminder the sofa was not a great place for sleeping. I sat up, rubbing my forehead, wincing at the sound of an unexpected notification in my head. What? Wait. What? I pulled up the message screen, staring at the ghost image of my overflowing inbox. What time even is it? 5 o'clock. Figures. Way too early. Not surprising since I'd fallen asleep quite early last night as well. Welcome back, stunners from Agile. I'm kind of surprised Agile happened right now. I guess it's been an hour since the last one. Still groggy, I stumbled to the kitchenette to make coffee. While that was happening, I decided to change and shower. That would help wake me up a little as well. I was halfway through the shower when I realized my system access was back. I made quick work of rinsing off so I could focus more on the situation. Toweling myself off, I found myself on my bed, trying to work out what happened. The system access was returned with no warning or explanation as usual. Magnus must have done something. Convinced the council to restore access? Oh yay, Music and Rue's voice is back. Baby is now in peace. Yes! As I dressed, that was the only explanation I could come up with. Would have been nice to get some kind of note about it instead of waking up to the message notifications. Maybe that's the way that I can promote my streams on like Twitch and YouTube, right? Hey parents, come put a stream on, okay? Your baby will fall straight to sleep. I still had a couple of hours before training started, so I went to get that cup of coffee and curl up on the sofa to peruse my messages, of which there were so many. Most of which I didn't want to deal with. You know what? I feel that. Most of the messages, emails, and mail that I get, I don't want to deal with it. Especially mail. The majority of my actual mail that I get, it's junk mail. Very rarely do I get a real letter from somebody these days. I do on my birthday and Christmas, you know? That's when we get cards from family members and stuff. Ooh, I want to be better about sending out cards on Christmas. I'm terrible about that. It was still early, so I couldn't call Mum, but I could at least send her a proper note, one that didn't need to go through Magnus. Maybe before training, I'd send him one asking what happened. I pulled open my message center, starting a new one. So this means we can actually send messages to our family on our own. You know what? That would actually be a good way to placate MC, you know, to make her more loyal. You know, since they were revoking access to parents this whole time. Wait a second. I just thought of something terrible. What if Magnus was lying about that? What if? What if this has something to do with who was the one that was revoked who revoked permission to talk to our parents in the first place? It was the council, right? Like it was them. But what if it was Magnus is a red flag, supposedly. He does lie to us. Oh God. What if he's lying about this in some way, shape, or form? Hi, Mum. It looks like I can finally send messages again. I hope you're all doing well. I know it's been a few days since we heard from each other. You know what? I'm going to give this man the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to be like, you know what? He talked to the council for us on our behalf and he convinced them to restore our connection. He convinced them out of the goodness of his heart. That's what I'm going to choose to believe. You can imagine things have been a little hectic. And I guess you could say I'm still trying to get used to the way things are around here, and they're still trying to get used to me. Things haven't been what I expected. And not always in a good way, but that's how it goes sometimes, right? They have their way of doing things, and I have mine. Sometimes those clash. Sort of like when I first started at uni. It's still a little difficult to say what things are going to look like for me long term here. But at least I'm not blowing things up. Okay, that's not true. I blew up a training room yesterday. Not intentionally, though. I know I've been keeping kind of quiet about the details of what's going on here. That's been to do with how we've been sending messages. There's been some disagreement on whether I should be granted system access back again. I think they're just struggling to decide what to do with me. They're not used to high-ranked espers showing up out of the aether the way that I did. It caused a stir. Girl, they could probably tap your messages and read everything that you say to dear mother dearest. Maybe don't tell her everything. Anyway, now that I can send messages again, I thought you might like to hear a little more about what happened and what's been happening since. Brace yourself. This is going to be a long message. I want to call as soon as I get a chance, but it might be easier to read it all first. It took a long time to compose that message. I had about half an hour left before training by the time I was done. I hope you didn't say anything about Magnus and his little conspiracies to try to escape, potentially. Don't put that in the letter. Somebody's monitoring this 100%. Since I'd already had a shower and quick breakfast, I wasn't in much of a hurry, though. I hit send and stood, taking a deep breath. Just being able to do that much felt like such a weight had been lifted. I'd been holding in a lot, and it was nice to finally get it all off my chest. I was in the middle of pulling a shirt out of the drawer when the door chime went off. A little early for Van to be picking me up. Yanking the shirt over my head, I went to answer. To my astonishment, it wasn't just Van. Caleb and Ari were with her, all looking uncustomarily grim. Oh God. Why? Her message got intercepted, and now she's going to get in trouble. And now her babysitters, her guard, are there to like babysit. Let me guess. I looked between the three of them, wondering what was up. I motioned them inside, figuring it probably wasn't meant for a hallway discussion. What's wrong? Did something happen? Rue, we detected that your system access was reinstated as of 3:15 this morning. Yes, it was active when I woke up this morning. You missed Ari's face. I know he's so handsome. It's not supposed to be active, Rue. No one reinstated your system access. Oh God, we're gonna get in so much trouble. It was active when I woke up this morning. I hate having to ask this, but did you restore it yourself? I was asleep at 3:15, thank you very much. Oh wait. She might have did it herself, because Magnus's psi ability has to do with technology, right? He's got like some kind of, he can control technology. Isn't that it? Maybe? And we touched his hand earlier. We touched him. And now because we touched his hand, we can control it. We probably accidentally turned it on in our sleep with Magnus's powers because we were alone together, canoodling at the cafe. We weren't canoodling. I just touched his hand lightly. It appears you sent a message a little while ago. Are you spying on me? How close attention is your council paying to me that they noticed to the minute when my access came back online and that I sent a message to my mother? You're being monitored, Rue. This isn't a surprise. Yeah, Rue, that's what I kept telling you. You gotta, duh. They're watching every little thing that you do, every move you make. You're lucky you don't have a camera in your place because Magnus convinced them not to put one in there. It's not a surprise, just a violation of basic rights. I didn't turn my nanosystem back on. You do possess the ability to mimic king ranks, and you were in close proximity to Magnus yesterday. Are you saying I restored my system access in my sleep? Well, that would be a new trick. I'm saying you did that, girl. You totally did that. You need to get changed into your uniform. The council has called a meeting. Consider yourself cordially invited. What? Am I under arrest now? Of course not, but the council has questions for you. If you reinstated access... I did not. Intentionally, it would constitute a violation of orders. Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? 10 minutes ago, the day had been perfect, and now it all came crashing down again. I buried my face in my hands, taking deep breaths to steady the nerves. Hey, don't worry about it. We believe you, of course. It's not like you haven't unconsciously used your abilities before. Great. I'm thrilled you know you don't think I'm a liar. I'm thrilled to know you don't think I'm a liar. I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my tone, though I knew it wasn't her fault. Or anyone's fault. Perhaps you should take your time getting ready. You don't want to meet with the council in a state of emotional upset. What other state should I be in right now, Ari? This isn't fair. None of this is. It wasn't fair to bring me here. It wasn't fair to ignore my health and try to push me into training. It wasn't fair to ignore my wishes or keep me isolated. And it wasn't fair to treat me like a criminal for sending a message to the woman who gave birth to me. We're not trying to treat you like... Her frustration is valid, Ari. The council has been shitty about her since the moment they found out she existed. Rue doesn't have to stay calm for them. Thank you. That part. Thank you, Caleb, yes. Finally, someone admitting I was right to feel this way. It's just never enough for them. I'm too slow, I'm too fast, I'm too stubborn, I'm too demanding, I'm too independent. I'm not good enough, or I'm too good. I clenched my jaw, reminding myself I was aiming the rant at the wrong people. It was the council that needed to hear this. I'll get changed. I headed into my room to do that. If I had reinstated access on my own, no. I wouldn't assume that yet. There were other options. Magnus could have done it. Someone else could have done it. I have no idea if they had ways to restrict access that didn't involve Magnus. Someone in admin could have made a mistake. I wouldn't implicate myself. Besides, I had been asleep. That I knew. For now, I would focus on getting dressed. I had an awful lot of grievances to air before the council. I'd take this as an opportunity to do so. And I wouldn't think about anything else beyond what I was going to say when I finally met these people. And, well, regardless of what else was true, I'd sent a message to my mother before they noticed. That was a victory I could secretly relish no matter how they complained. I just hoped the meeting wouldn't go terribly. He's the better Otome Caleb. I quite like him too so far, Meryl. I do. Even though I had to give him a hard time in the beginning because how dare he kidnap us the way he did. But I had a feeling I was going to need every ounce of strength and shred of patience in me now that I was meeting the people Magnus warned me about just yesterday. Broken Lullaby, Chapter 7. Here we go. Turns out, meeting the council wasn't quite what I expected. I imagined a boardroom with a long table and a group of serious, older people seated around it while I explained myself. Actually, that's what I was imagining too. Thank you for redeeming drink actual water. He deserved the hard time then, and in his route, but he's still great. Nope, you get silhouettes because I wasn't drawing that many sprites. Real. Oh, yeah, I see him. Instead, Magnus, my guard, and I were in his office with a halo screen in front of us. And on that screen were silhouettes with distorted voices. They don't want us to see their faces on purpose, Not, I think it's clever, that they want to keep their identities kind of hidden, I think it fits. Yeah, Jitterrue is here. It was a ridiculous amount of secrecy and show, like smoke and mirrors, meant to make them seem more intimidating. I was reminded of the school admin of my university, who also never showed their faces either. They remained a mysterious body in charge of our fates, but never bothered to be present or show us who they were. They simply ruled us from afar, non-human and strange. According to our records, system access was restored at approximately 3:15 this morning. So I've heard. What were you doing at that time, Jitterrue? I was sleeping. Then how was your access restored? We gave no order for anyone to end your restrictions. Member 2. Agent Ulrich has already confirmed he did not do it himself. I can't say who did it, seeing as how I was asleep. You can mimic King ranks, and you spent time with Agent Ulrich the day before. Were you mimicking his ability to manipulate the nanosystem? I rubbed my temple, trying to hold in the sigh. I was asleep, as you may recall. As far as I know, I did nothing beyond that. Did you not capture Agent Ulrich's psi signature and begin mimicking him when you were together the previous day? Not intentionally, but I can't say I was paying attention. Have you not been trained to pay attention to such things? I can't pay attention all the damn time. I heard the others stir beside me and bit my lip to hold in the frustration. It is your duty to do just that, Agent Jitterrue. Reports from the brief assignment the first guard received yesterday shows you spent quite a lot of time alone with Agent Ulrich. What did you speak about during that time? What has that got to do with anything? I believe I included a summary of our conversation in my report. Yes, we read your report, and we recall how accurate they usually are. Ouch. Ha ha ha. Well, I try. What did you say in the report, I wonder? Okay, just because he made a report, I doubt he included everything we talked about. Okay, I doubt there were some choice things that he brought up that he mentioned in this report. Answer the question, Agent Jitterrue. Frankly, we discussed how much I despise the way I've been treated since my arrival. We discussed that I think the decisions you've made may not be in my best interest, nor have they been fair. And we discussed my frustration that I'm not allowed the simple privilege to speak with my family as I wish. We are aware you, in fact, have spoken to your family through Agent Ulrich, a matter the entire guard was aware of and neglected to report, despite that it directly violated our orders. Do you believe that's how I wish to communicate with my family? That was met with a moment of silence. I caught the look on Caleb's face when I said that, slightly smug, a little amused. Regardless, you violated our orders. And now you have violated them again by restoring your system access and contacting them on your own. Listen, I told you I was asleep. How dare you? Does it count as a violation if restoring system access was done while I was unaware? Does it count as a violation if I thought you finally came to your senses and restored my access, if I wasn't aware I was violating orders? What was in that message you sent earlier? Can't Magnus just hack into the messaging system and read it? Rue, I would prefer. As the message is now in the hands of a private citizen, we would rather not take such measures. So, spying on me was fine, but spying on my family was unethical? What a warped sense of justice. And I would prefer that my system access had been reinstated weeks ago. Yet here we are. Silence. I suspected the sarcasm wasn't helping. But there was no way I wouldn't be at least a little frustrated in this situation. I love how spicy she is. She's got attitude, you know, she's got some kick, she's got bite. I like that. I hope they don't do anything terrible. Look, I didn't mean to violate orders by reinstating my access. If that's what happened, I still struggle to believe I did it when I was asleep. If I'm remembering right, I recall hearing most espers don't use their abilities while asleep. It is not unheard of, for the untrained in particular, and there is precedent for you. So you do believe I did this without meaning to?
Should we believe that when we know you disobeyed orders on this matter on multiple occasions?
There's not much I can do if you're determined to see malicious intent in this, but I am telling the truth.
When you woke this morning and noticed your access was restored, did it not occur to you to get confirmation it was restored by us?
Either no, it didn't, or when have you people ever confirmed anything with me? I'm gonna get in so much trouble. That voice, that's the voice they deserve, Meryl. The voice they deserve, straight up the nose. When have you people ever bothered to tell me anything or confirm anything with me? Name one instance where you made a decision you explained to me, or one where you informed me ahead of time. This time I couldn't keep the heat from my voice as I answered. You gave privileges. You take them away. You order me to do training. You order me on assignments. But you've never given me an explanation for anything. Your entire modus operandi is hiding things from me, isolating me, keeping me in the dark, and expecting me to go along with it without question. If you believe we intended to isolate you, then you should have realized we wouldn't reinstate your access. The only thing I've realized so far is that you should have reinstated it weeks ago. So, you restored your access intentionally because you're unhappy with our decision. What other systems did you access? No, I didn't. If anything, I restored my access unconsciously because I'm unhappy with your decision. And I didn't access any other systems. I'm not a spy. What the hell are you people so terrified of me seeing or revealing that it requires this interrogation? It's naive to believe Endgame doesn't house sensitive information we do not wish outsiders to see. If you were going to just consider me an outsider forever, why pull me off the street in the first place? I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm not interested in accessing your secrets. I pressed the palms of my hands together, resting my forefingers against my lips as I let out another breath. I understand it is a concern for you that I can do things even I'm aware of and not yet in full control of. But you have to see that your actions are contributing to the problem. If I reinstated my access, unaware and while asleep, it didn't come out of nowhere. I've been here over a month, and you refuse to give me privileges every normal citizen has. You're not a normal citizen. And there it is. There it is. I'm also not a prisoner or a criminal, unless it's something else you've been keeping from me. I am not trying to cause problems, but you must see. I was brought here under very unusual circumstances. Not entirely pleasant circumstances either, because that was the decision you made for me. That wouldn't be the case had you not hidden your status in the first place. You are responsible for your own situation, Agent Jitterrue. I gritted my teeth. So, they were going to hold that over my head as well. I have worked hard since my arrival. If I've stepped out of line at all, it is because you forced me into a corner. If you want me to submit to your orders, then perhaps you shouldn't create a situation where I have to disobey your orders if I want to do something as basic as contact my family, which is something even actual criminals may do. Who's this person? Is this Mother Dearest? I can't remember what Mother Dearest's hair looked like. Miss Jitterrue has a point. Her circumstances have caused us to be overly cautious. Not our mother. Magnus's mother is on the council. It doesn't help that F-class espers are susceptible to psi instability when subjected to emotional stress, something I'm sure she's found in abundance here at Cor Solaris. Finally, someone who has at least a little sympathy. That is a reasonable observation. It doesn't change that this is a security issue. We worked hard to keep rogue espers off the street. We cannot afford to have one in our midst, intentional or otherwise. All Guard members will receive demerits for the matter regarding the illicit sending of messages. If it happens again, you are to report it at once. As for... I'm afraid I must protest. The message situation was my doing, of course. No one else was involved. In fact, I instigated the entire thing by contacting Rue's parents before she was even aware of what I was doing. I'll receive all the demerits, including hers. Magnus. Magnus! He's throwing himself under the bus for me. I couldn't let him try to take the blame for that. I wasn't aware you were the ranking member of the council, Agent Ulrich. Or that you made decisions in doling out consequences. Perhaps not. Though I think I'd make an excellent ranking member. However, the first guard may be many things. Grumpy, problematic, socially awkward, sarcastic, unpleasant to spend time with. They're also quite horrific bullies at times, but they are also very dutiful when it comes to following orders I give them. So naturally, when I told them to keep quiet about this trivial transgression, they were willing to oblige. They should not follow orders from you when they contradict orders from us. Well, it's true our council is well known for only giving orders reasonable, fair, and exceptionally generous. Orders that would, of course, never harm one of our agents. Which is why I'm certain that if it were to get out of the entire First Guard was reprimanded for kindly allowing the new queen to contact her family, that the commander's orders were disregarded as trivial. That Rue has had her system access restricted for weeks on end, with every request for outside contact denied. It would cause quite a stir. The implicit unfairness and lack of compassion would shock the younger members who look up to the council as a group of kindly parents that gently oversee us. Everyone was silent. Yeah, it might cause an uprising. How would you like that? Good point, Magnus. Good job, Magnus. You tell him. I didn't know if it was the sheer ridiculousness of what he just said, or the audacity of his unstated threat to spread around that I and the guard had been punished for calling my mum. Am I wrong? We will discuss this matter further at another time. Whoa, that worked. Magnus knows the council pretty well, doesn't he? I guess appearances really were more important than I realized. Yeah, it's all about control, okay? They can't have an uprising. They can't have people thinking, it's a good point that other people, other espers in the ranks might find that to be reprehensible and may potentially cause problems for them in way of control. If I knew I'd only need to threaten them a little, I'd have done that from the start. For the time being, Agent Jitterrue's system access will be restricted back to previous levels. Figures. She will be confined to her personal quarters until further notice. Come on! That's unnecessary, confining her. Besides, she already has her access back. Why not? There is not a single agent above the rules in this organization, Agent Scott. Not one. That goes for our queen as well. This meeting is over. Be grateful we are curtailing privileges and nothing further. The screen went blank and then faded out. Well, that went well. He received 4 simultaneous death glares for that. Well, 3. Ari just looked mildly disappointed, as usual. Now. It could have gone worse. Really? And what does nothing further even mean? What do they usually do when someone breaks the rules? Cut off their pinky finger? That's not a single agent above the rules. But I guess the council is above the law, given how many of my personal rights they're perfectly fine violating. Now I know why Dr. Sasaki calls them all idiots. It took this long to work that out? In fairness, Dr. Sasaki has called everyone here an idiot at least once. Yep, another tsundere. Including you, Rue, of course. Yes, he has. And me. I'm usually an annoyance instead. I'm certain they won't keep you confined to your flat for long. They're very focused on appearances. Having the queen under house arrest isn't a good look. Yet here we are. They're also pretty eager to get you trained. You can't do that hiding in your flat. This won't last long. That didn't make me feel any better about it. It wasn't fair, no matter the duration. Man, I thought we got a handle on the unconscious mimicking. It is difficult to work on controlling her actions when she's asleep. Most people don't use psi when they're asleep. You really do everything the hard way, don't you? I don't mean to. No one is blaming you for this. I believe the council is most definitely blaming her. Thank you, Ari. He's like, thank you, Captain Obvious. The council doesn't speak for all of us. Oh, the council doesn't speak for all of us. No, but since they make the decisions, when they speak it counts. It won't always be like this, I promise. I was beginning to have doubts if that was true. Come on, we'll get you back to your place. Chin up, Rue. I really will spend every horrible rumor I can come up with if they don't play nice. I need to read that again. I really will spread every horrible rumor I can come up with if they don't play nice. Thanks. I'm not sure how much that will help, but thanks. I can also drain their bank accounts. Oh, and change all their passwords. Arrange for 12-year supplies of embarrassing items to be sent to their flats.
You should do that. I like that idea.
Yes! Steal all their money and send them all like, you know, what would be embarrassing to send them? Send them all like toys, if you know what I mean. Send them toys. That might be taking it a bit far. I just feel perhaps I'm to blame. I never thought, well, no matter. Try to view it as a holiday and a rest. At least you got one message out before they caught you. I assume it was a good one.
Well, it was pretty good, yeah. I'm sure they'd be horrified if they read it.
Good. Very good indeed.
I spent the next hour oscillating between distress, regret, and defiance. It seemed the council and I were destined to clash. I wondered just how long they'd try to keep me grounded. I suppose it was technically house arrest, but it seemed too petty to call it that. So I was sticking to calling it grounded. Well, it's not like I enjoyed training anyway. That didn't change that I was bored of counting the spots on the ceiling. I tried to spend some time thinking about what happened, but what was there to even think about, unless I was being framed? I really had done it when I was asleep. That's all there was to it. The council didn't have to like it for me. The council didn't have to like it for it to be true. But that just meant I was being punished for something I hadn't even been in control of. If they had punished me for circumventing them, that would be one thing. But they weren't satisfied with giving me a demerits like everyone else. So they had to find something else to punish me for, no matter how unjust. Endgame, the bastion of justice, protector of peace, the watchman who ensured the protection of every citizen, was run by a bunch of petty jerks who got their collective knickers in a bunch over the psychic equivalent of sleepwalking. Security risked my foot. When my door chime went off, I dragged myself off the sofa and went to answer, wondering what fresh hell they were sending me this time. I was surprised to find Dr. Sasaki outside. Doctor! Is something wrong? He didn't wait for me to invite him inside. He stepped through the door with a curt nod, sidling past me. Plenty. However, I assume you're referring to the reason for my visit. Given that you may have stressed yourself, you stressed your psi last night, and no one bothered to check on your medical status. I'm here to do just that. I'm pretty sure they told Van and the others I wasn't allowed visitors. I'm not a visitor, I'm a doctor, and you are my patient. If they have a problem with me doing my job, I will gladly sit them down with a physical copy of the Endgame medical guidelines and a full job description for the chief medic. I'm sure it will assuage any ridiculous concerns that may linger in the dusty corners of their clearly dysfunctional minds. There. Welcome to my flat. He nodded toward the sofa, already on his way over. I followed him, half amused by his obvious displeasure with the council. How are you? I feel fine. He tipped his head to the side as I joined him on the sofa. I'm inquiring as to your emotional and mental well-being. I'm frustrated, I suppose, but otherwise I'm okay. Those idiots are so distressed over someone doing something unpredictable, they haven't stopped once to think how this may affect your mental state. If they had been taking care of that from the start, none of this would have happened. I tried to point this out to them multiple times, and they did not listen. They never listen. We also tried to point it out, but they weren't receptive to the idea that they could have done anything differently. I've half a mind to administer an in-depth hearing test to the lot of them. Barring that, they may need their comprehension skills evaluated instead. He continued to speak, even as he checked my vitals and ran a scan on my brain and psi waves. They act like no one has ever done anything unexpected before, or stepped out of line at all, ever. Of course, people have done so. The council doesn't usually hear of it because they are lower-ranked agents, or they simply don't care. They do, however, care about your development. It's time for a stretch. Thank you, Zephyr, for the stretch. And some breathing. Because I'm a queen rank, I know. I believe there is more to it than that. What makes you say that? There is a rumor that I heard. Many people come through the infirmary on a weekly basis. Some are saying the Moirai are nervous, that some unclear future event has made them skittish regarding unknown variables. Lethe had mentioned that to me, of which you are one, which puts you at the epicenter of their anxiety. Of course. In other words, the Council's paranoia is coming from the Moirai. I encountered one of them, sort of recent-ish. She mentioned something about that future as well, but she was vague. And she said that my connections to the outsider, tying me down or influencing me negatively. I don't know how they intend to solve that, but I can't sever my connections to my family, and I wouldn't even if it was possible to cut ties. It is natural to hold tight to connections with others. Humans, in fact, require such connections for healthy emotional development. In some ways, that the rest of us have our ties primarily within Endgame becomes a handicap, and a way to keep our focus here. When everything we care about is here, why would we turn our thoughts elsewhere? See? It's a measure of control. Everything we do becomes about keeping this place protected. This is true, even for me. If my lack of connections was going to be this big a problem, they should have considered other options beyond yanking me off the street and dragging me here. I agree, yet they did not. I just don't know how to fix the current situation. If they want me to be happy, severing all ties with the outside and being obedient, placing their orders above even my family, and if they're unwilling to compromise on that, then we're at an impasse. I hope you can come up with a compromise soon. So do I. Now to the topic of your using psi while unconscious. During your previous stay in the infirmary, we saw you utilizing psi while in a state of semi-unconsciousness and, in at least one instance, full unconsciousness. At the time, I believed it to be a side effect of your power surge. It appears I was mistaken. I assume if there was a way to control it, you would have administered it at the time. Correct. Generally speaking, when an Esper sleeps, the brain releases neurotransmitters to send their phoric system into dormancy. This is similar to how the brain prevents muscle movement during sleep as well. However, there is no organic creature that functions perfectly all the time. Therefore, there are instances when the phoric system is not disabled as it should be. Normally, we could get you to wear a psi inhibitor during sleep to disrupt any psi waves being produced. As you well know, that method will not work on you. The Council has asked me to administer a medication that targets the neurotransmitters we believe are responsible for phoric system activity, blocking the brain from producing them. If there's a medication like that, why didn't you give it to me when I was power surging your infirmary into a frenzy? Because it's an experimental drug, not yet cleared for medical use. Ah, so of course you should administer it to me as a method of control. They suggested you become a part of the small clinical trial we are currently running. However, I will not administer it without your consent. I have relayed this to the Council. They indicated they are unhappy with this decision. I told them I don't particularly care. My first duty is to my patient. I love you. No one at this facility is obligated to become a part of an experiment without consent, and that includes you. How experimental is this treatment? You mentioned a clinical trial. Is that real? Or am I the clinical trial? Ash saying she wasn't drawing that many sprites, like she didn't make 4,000 sprites for this game. I know, real. There's so many sprited characters. It's like epic record number of sprites. It's been in development for over 2 years. It is going through a second clinical trial with a small number of adult espers who have trouble sustaining phoric dormancy while asleep. None of those espers are F class. All have persistent somnimentis. Somnimentis, sleep psychicking. Ask about Bob lore sometime. Okay, tell me about Bob lore. What's Bob? Who is Bob? But 4,001 sprites is too much. 4,000 is okay. 4,001? No. You know what? You have to draw a line somewhere, Meryl. The council was like 8 more sprites. Yeah, Ash is like, not doing it. There has to be a line. A line! As far as awkward layman terms go, I suppose that is apt. Do you think I should do it? Rue, it's your body, so you must decide. However, there's no medical benefit for this treatment. Bob is the name most of the extras have in the code. They're coded as Bob 1, Bob 2, even if in the game they're like Secret Agent 1 or whatever. I love that. If you don't know who they are, they're Bob. Fair, yes. How many roots? And only some have characters in common. There's 9. 9 love interests, Justana. 9! 9! And like, they all have their own characters and everything. They're not all shared. The only perceived benefits would be to your standing before the council. Meanwhile, there are potential risks and side effects. Some experience a delay to their abilities in return. Basically, everyone in the council is named Bob. Hi, Artisan. Welcome, Stunner. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the ibuprofen. Let's take it together. Others experience power surges as their brains compensate for the suppression of neurotransmitters by producing in abundance all at once. This drug has never been tested on an F class, nor on an Esper of your caliber. While I believe the risks are minimal, we cannot say for certain what the result will be, assuming it has any effect at all. I should show the council I was being flexible, attempt to show I wasn't trying to be a troublemaker. Or I could refuse to bend, and show them I wouldn't be easy to manipulate. That would solidify my position as a troublemaker, and would almost definitely make the upcoming days unbearable in some way or another. They're totally evil. Was making a statement worth that? This is a big decision. I need to save. Do we accept the treatment and appease the council, or do we refuse the treatment? You know, and keep our powers the way they are. I generally don't like to take drugs if I don't have to, you know. There's always side effects to things. As he told us, you know? You know what this is? It's a really weird snack, and I was desperate to find one flavor that I actually liked, because all the other flavors kind of sucked. But I was like, I like the idea of like a quick, easy, like protein snack that I could just like eat before or during stream. And there's actually one flavor that's actually good. They're like low sugar, protein
protein snacks. Snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle is the only flavor that's good. All the rest of them suck. Anyway. I saw ads on it on Instagram and I was like, you know what? That ad makes it look delicious. This one actually is delicious. But like I said, everything else, like the peanut butter one is kind of okay, but like that like artificial sweetened like fake peanut butter taste is bit too strong. But like it's okay. I can actually, there are actually pieces of like chocolate in it, which is quite nice. And then the other one that was like, there's like a red velvet one that was like, that one is okay. Not bad. But this one is legit actually tasty. Okay. I don't want my life to be hell. You know? I wonder what Magnus would say. I'm going to accept the treatment because maybe the council will ease up on us. Otherwise, they're going to make our life hell. In the end, I suspected it would be better to accept. They were trying to play hardball, but if I responded in kind, the situation would only continue to escalate. Ash is like, what are you doing? I wanted to be stubborn, kind of, you know? I kind of wanted to be stubborn. But listen, okay? Maybe they'll like ease up on us if we capitulate and do the drugs, you know? This isn't going to turn out well, is it? After all, if I chose to be difficult, I was proving their point, which would undoubtedly make them dig their heels in. If I complied with their requests, then they, appropriately, looked like the ones in the wrong. But more than that, it would show there was no need to be so wary of me. Exactly. And it wasn't like there was any drawback to suppressing my abilities for a little while. I wasn't going to be using them. Yeah, we're not training anyway, or going out. We're under house arrest. Might as well. Fine, I'll do it. Are you certain? Are there any dangerous side effects? One might argue that a power surge is dangerous. However, the scale of what we've seen in trials is minor. There is an 87% efficacy in N-class espers. But, and I must stress this, we can't say for sure what the results will look like for you. Oh God! The effects last 8 hours for most people, longer for others. It might turn out well, if it doesn't turn out well. That's true, Artisan. This whole thing can get blown out of proportion. He's glad, you're glad he's being honest. He does seem honest. We do like that. There's not a well emoji, so you used a bucket. Indeed. I mean, maybe there's a Twitch emote somewhere of a well. I'll need to administer those dose personally, so I'll return this evening. It would be wise to administer it shortly before you sleep. Though you're not officially a part of the in-progress trial, if you can keep records of any observations while taking this medication, it would be of some interest to our medical research department. Oh! Of course. I'll take note of everything. At least we can help you with his science. If anything happens, of course, you will contact me. I assume they at least left your console active? I think so. Excellent. Thank you for coming to check on me. Of course. Science! Okay, we're contributing to science now.
I'll return in a few hours.
Okay, you.
If you change your mind, contact the medical ward and ask to speak to me.
I will. Thank you.
Then I'll be leaving for now.
I didn't realize that Van was here. I thought we were alone. She just kind of like appeared out of nowhere, you know? I expected to be left alone, but as he was leaving, Vanessa showed up carrying a small box. I'm getting an awful lot of visitors for someone under house arrest. You need food, so I'm not violating orders. You're being confined to your flat. It's not a hunger strike. I watched her set the box in the kitchen. You know, there is food here. I had no way of knowing that, did I? Wink. I see. Everyone else circumvents orders and it's fine. I do it and the entire solar system is at risk. Oh, trust me, Magnus tried to convince them you didn't circumvent orders. You, after all, never directly sent a message to your parents. As you can see, they didn't buy it. Are they going to buy that I needed food? Who knows? Hopefully no one comes to drag you away and give you demerits. Van snickered. I think the threat of demerits isn't as intimidating as they wish it was. She set a book alongside the box she left in the kitchen. What exactly does demerits do to you? No one seems to care that much about him. It's just like a slap on the wrist. It's like you get a B instead of an A. What exactly is the consequence of demerits? Courtesy of Magnus. You can read it later. I thought it might be useful. If you get enough, you get a bigger punishment, like docked payment or something. Oh, that would suck. What even happens when you get too many demerits? You lose privileges like holidays, or you can get fined. Or if you get shit jobs for a while. Or worst case, you spend a week in the guardhouse, Esper jail. Know that firsthand? Well, yeah. Sorry, my record isn't squeaky clean. Neither is Caleb's or Mara's. No one has a clean record around here. We're all troublemakers. But we're only human, you know? Ari's probably the only one on the guard who'd never even contemplated stepping outside the line. I imagine. Because Ari is a square, okay? He's a goody two-shoes. He was a rule follower, okay? He does not stray. You know, Ari is on the straight and narrow. He does what he's told. He's a good little soldier. But they're used to us. We've been here our whole lives. They watched us our entire careers. There are decades of behavior records to check if they needed to. And they know our ability levels very well. There's a level of comfort that comes with that. See, MC is new to them. They don't know how MC is. So they don't, you know, everyone else can get away with stuff because they know him. There are decades of behavior records on me that they can pull straight from New Albion. I think they'd find I'm usually quite well behaved. Except the one incident with the fountain. That wasn't your fault, girl. There was a magical bum causing problems, okay? That wasn't you. A magic bum! To be fair, there were extenuating circumstances, aka a magic bum. In a way, it was self-defense. Exactly! Exactly, yes, and all of that. Yes. Okay? Okay, we got attacked. Oh, I'm sure they can see you were a very dutiful student with excellent grades and not a single mark on your record before you came here. But let's examine your time with us. And I'm not blaming you. I'm just pointing out. You brought down a building on Caleb and Ari with one of the strongest psi bursts we've ever seen. You evaded them for hours. You were found with Jack, Someone who defected from Endgame and joined up with one of our less friendly adversaries. Adversaries. You destroyed at least one infirmary room, elbowed our highest ranked agent in the head and tried to escape, and then tried to escape again multiple times, including using techniques our previous queen never mastered. Even after years of training, you've demonstrated, in fact, a penchant for mimicking abilities they thought queens couldn't mimic. Ari's teleportation, Ari's space distortion, Magnus technokinesis, and you simultaneously destroyed a practice room, shower room, a VR simulation room with ease. With Magnus' help, circumvented orders, and turned on your system access again in your sleep. Okay, I hear that. But Ari drove a car into a wall and created an explosion in the middle of a city. That part, okay? Also, they kidnapped me. What was I supposed to do? Just let them kidnap me? Without protesting whatsoever? I didn't even know that they were with Endgame. I didn't recognize the uniforms, okay? It's not my fault. They could have just come up and asked me to go with them, nicely. I probably would have gone. But no, they kidnapped me. And I'm not letting that go, Esh. I'm not letting that one go. Also, he and Caleb are guilty of kidnapping and causing a high-speed car chase, also in the middle of a city. That part, yes. Tell her. And a disturbance in that cafe where they found me. To be fair, they had permission. I believe Ari has consistently pointed out that apprehending unregistered espers is part of what we do. I deeply apologize for not asking permission before I destroyed a building. Joking aside, I think it worries them to see what you're capable of without training and when you're not in control of yourself. You manipulated the nano system in your sleep. Manipulating the nano system isn't easy for king ranks when they're awake. I suspect they're concerned about what you could do if you were actually trying, and if you weren't completely loyal. Is there some history of agents going rogue and trying to topple Endgame? No? And yes, I mean, it's happened. You know, well, Jack defected. There's that. There are agents that make bad choices, that go rogue, as you say, that defect the way Jack did. Yeah. I wouldn't say it happens all the time, but it happens. Often the later someone comes in, the more likely there could be issues. You came in late and unwillingly, and every day it becomes clear how much potential you hold. I get it. It's just weird to think that to the council I'm some scary monster. I'm just trying to be me, as much of the normal me as possible. This all seems like it's just punishment for letting myself stay out there. I don't like this feeling of them acting entitled to me. You don't like being caged like a bird. Sorry, I don't mean to rehash all of this. I'm just at a loss, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't want to criticize a group I haven't been a part of for long, but if this is the way a council of non-espers runs things, maybe they need more espers on the council to balance things out. Because no offense, they're kind of lousy at running this place, if how they've handled my arrival is any example. Yeah, you need to have a more fair council. If you're going to be ruling over a bunch of espers, you should have espers on the council. It would be great if changing things was that simple, but it never is. Look, I need to run. I'll come back to check on you later. Exactly, Justana. Tell him. Get in line. I hate lines, so whoever else is going to check on you better make way. She grinned and gave me a quick hug before letting herself out. I huffed a sigh and went back to the living room, the book she'd brought me catching my eye. Meditative techniques. Magnus sent me this. really. I opened the book with a heavy sigh. There was something written on the interior cover. It was a message from Magnus. Ooh, a secret message in a book. They insisted on turning the surveillance back on in your apartment. I've drawn where the cameras are and the angles they cover. The only one in your room that is on covers the bed. Oh, the only one in your room that is on covers the bed. Hopefully enough to show evidence you're sleeping, should there be a repeat of the previous event. There isn't someone constantly watching everything. I'm the only one with access to the cameras, but they are recording. So if something happens, we can review them. I promise I'm not spying. Rue, don't feel there is nothing you can do. There is an appellate board. An appellate board, so we can make appeals. You can lodge a complaint and appeal this decision to them. I clenched my jaw hard enough it hurt, and did my absolute best to not slam the book shut. How dare they? If Magnus hadn't told me, I would never even know. Thank goodness for Magnus. How dare they try to record us and spy on us in secret like that? How dare they? I don't have enough stubborn, so I can't do that one. But I can leave it alone, or I can make I can complain. I'm complaining, okay? This wasn't right. Just because they were the council didn't mean it was a carte blanche to trample every right I had. I didn't recall signing my rights away when I joined. I was going to fight back, politely, for now. To start, I'd work on a letter of formal complaint. If there was an appellate board, they were going to hear from me. But there was no way they were getting a simple letter. No, if I was going to do this, it would be formal and detailed. More of an essay than a letter. Might as well outline every single violation of my rights. Even though I knew that, ultimately, they'd dismiss the whole thing because I hid the fact I was an Esper. At this point, rather than kicking myself for hiding it, I was kicking myself for getting caught. I should never have admitted to Magnus that I knew I was an Esper. Then they wouldn't be able to hold it over me. Either way, I'd been waffling for a while now, but this time I was drawing a line. If the complaint and appeal did no good, I would take more extreme measures. In the worst case, well, Jack had left. If I had too, I would find a way to do the same. I couldn't stay here under these conditions. I really could not. I couldn't either. The letter occupied my attention until Sasaki showed up to give me the dose of medication we had discussed. It was earlier than I expected, still several hours before bed, but he was on call, and I didn't know if he'd be able to stop by later. That meant it would wear off earlier as well, but there was nothing to be done about it. His visit was what reminded me Van had brought food. I never bothered to eat. Oh! After that, I gave the appellate letter one last glance over, pleased that I could sound appropriately offended and indignant by the council's actions. Years of college essays for picky professors had honed my ability to sound formal and polite, but it was good to let at least a little emotion show through, just to make it clear I was quite put out. I wasn't sure how much good it would do, but I decided to sleep on it and give it another glance in the morning before sending it out. That's a good idea. Don't send out the email when you're very emotional feeling, you know? And I would be emotional too. Like, I get it. But, like, give it a night. Breathe, and then send out your angry letter. Yes, good idea. When sleep eluded me, I realized how much of a frustration it was to be stuck in my flat and unable to go for a walk. I tossed and turned for hours, trying to find a comfortable place, trying to cajole myself to just fall asleep. That's when you have to get up and just start doing squats and push-ups in your room, you know? Start shadow boxing, you know? Do lunges! I got up and read for a while, and eventually was back in bed, curled up sort of half asleep and half awake. You know what? If we had Otome games, I'd be like, you know what? It's going to be an Otome game break. I'm just going to lay in bed. I'm going to eat snacks and I'm going to play Otome games the entire time I'm stuck here. The whole time I'm under house arrest. That's what I would do. But if there's no Otome games, then, you know, too bad for me. That was how I noticed the shuffling around in my room. It was a part of my dream as well, but in that way where part of my brain knew it was real. That was the only reason I didn't wake up right away. Ah! Y'all? Why are there two men in my room? Who are these people? Several people? When I opened my eyes and saw several people in black clothes leaning over me, I let out a panicked shriek. Kicking with both legs, I caught one of the black suits in the gut, and he went down with a pained grunt. Who are you people? What's happening? Why? Catching the other's neck in the crook of my elbow as I scrambled out of bed, I sent him to the floor as well. As soon as I stood on shaky, uncertain legs, I realized I must have been drugged. My head was swimming, and my vision was dotted with black spots. What? What did you do to me? My words were slurred as well. There were medical instruments strewn on the floor, 2 empty vials. What in the world? Lethe? Unknown man?
Lethe, do it.
How could you do this to me? How dare you? How could you do this to me? Oh, God. It will be difficult when she's awake. I mean, Bob. How dare you, Bob? I froze at the sound of that familiar voice. She was near the door, much further from me than the others.
They said she can't have any memory of this.
You was supposed to give her the anesthetic so I wouldn't be needed.
She woke up before I could finish the dose.
I asked what's going on. My voice rose to a frantic pitch, slurred though it was. I was gripping the bedside table tightly to keep myself upright.
Don't worry. Given your lack of skill, you won't remember any of this later anyway.
She held a hand out, taking a step closer. No! I flung outward with my sigh, on instinct, forgetting too late that I'd taken medication to suppress it. Damn it, I shouldn't have taken the medication. No, I didn't know this was going to happen, Esh. I'm getting kidnapped. Oh no, not again. What are they doing to me? How dare, how dare. Am I going for, is this a dead end? Am I getting a bad ending? Oh God, no, no. The first explosion was weak, just enough to startle them all, but not much else. Now I know why you were like, ha 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 ha. I've made a terrible choice. I've made a horrible decision. Lethe's sigh, a deep blood red, swirled its way towards me like an ominous cloud. Good thing I saved. I'm about to die. I tried to lash out again, but I could sense the thing blocking my sigh, like a thin membrane I could snap if I tried. I didn't know what they were planning, but I needed my abilities. For the first time in my life, I desperately needed that power I had hated so much until now. I never wanted it before, but now I wanted it back. They tried to take it so they could pin me down again somehow. I couldn't. When Lethe's sigh latched into me, I held my arms over my eyes and shouted. Something inside of me tore away, or shattered like glass. There was a sense of never being able to go back this time, but I knew deep down I'd passed that point long ago. This time the violent explosion outward rocked the room and flung Lethe into the far wall. The lights flickered on briefly, then off. Lethe struggled back to her feet. One of the black suits snatched up their equipment, and seeing a scanner among the items, I lifted a hand. Sparks shot out of it as it shorted out. Get out! We get out! Sparks lanced up the wall with a sizzling crack. The lights blazed impossibly bright before the room went dark. The window cracked, wood splintered, and several books flung themselves out of the bookcase. The foot of my bed lifted and then slammed into the floor again. There was something building inside me, like energy that had been pent up too long. Fueled by rage, by desperation, by every indignity I'd suffered since my arrival, I finally let all that pent-up energy release. It tore away from me with wild, dangerous speed, rippling through the floors and the walls. It shattered glass, shredded carpet, slashed through skin. I sensed it injure the black suits before Lethe could get a shield in place. The room shuddered again. There was the familiar whoop, whoop of the defense alarm. Beyond the thin, frantic wail of my sigh, I heard them leaving. Then I sank to the floor, and a pained sob finally escaped. Why were they doing this? Why? I gripped my head, backing into a corner and sliding down the wall. My sphere. I expanded through my apartment, making sure I was alone. And I sat in the dark, just waiting and waiting. Chapter 8. A Box of Memories. Wow! I thought for sure I was going to get a game over. I thought for sure I was about to die. But don't worry, because most bad endings have a failsafe that checks against your overall score and gives you an out for the bad ending, as long as your score is high enough. Well, my score must have been pretty dang high. I have no regrets. That was pretty exciting. So do you skip that scene if you don't take the medicine? Is that what happens? You skip that, don't you? That was crazy. Also, I knew I couldn't trust that Moirai girl. How dare they sneak into my room like that and try to hurt me? How dare they? How could they? I don't deserve that. I deserve to be treated like the queen that I am. You get it, but it plays out differently. Oh, interesting. Interesting. You know what? For science, I'm going to save it because this is the save we're going to continue on with. But I'm going to go back and see how it plays out. Is it like significantly differently or just like kind of sort of differently? Because I'm curious, especially if it's significant. All right, we're already on it. You don't really remember? Fair. That's fair. Okay, well, hey, you know what? I'm going to load. And this is for science. I want to know what happens if I make the other choice. Let's see, there he is. We're loading. All right, y'all, we're going to refuse the treatment. You just know that it differs based on whether she can use her abilities. Oh. And we used our abilities. Even though we had, listen, we had the treatment. And the abilities seemed like we couldn't do them at first, but then they still came out, you know? They still came out and we fucked everything up. We messed up everything, you know? We hurt those people, as they deserved. I refuse. In the end, there was something telling me I could not let these people walk all over me. Exactly. I knew the situation would escalate. I knew this meant we'd continue to clash. Wonder if I can... Okay, skip is tab, right? Or is it, it's tab, right? Or is it tilde? But I also wouldn't let them make me powerless and dependent on their good graces. Oh, it's control. Control. Okay, got it. That's skip. Perfect. I won't take an experimental treatment because the council is having a tantrum at my expense. I've put up with more than my share of inconveniences since my arrival. I refuse to be a lab rat for these people. You wouldn't characterize it in that exact fashion, but I understand I wouldn't characterize it in that exact fashion, but I understand your complaint. I will comply with your wishes. I suspected this would be your choice. Of course, those fools refuse to listen. Seems to be their want. It does indeed. This is an old organization, and in an old organization, bad habits that go unchecked become accepted policy. It is unfortunate but true. Thank you for taking my wishes into consideration. That is my duty as your doctor, and your senior, and perhaps as a friend. Oh, you. I love you. Thank you for coming to check on me. Of course. Then I'll be leaving for now. Okay, and then here's Vanessa. Let's skip along. We're gonna do the letter again. Yep. The letter occupied my attention until bed. I completely forgot about the food Van brought until it was too late to eat. Feeling a little bad about that, I dumped it in the refrigerator, planning to eat it the next day. After that, I gave the appellate letter one last glance over, pleased that I could sound appropriately offended and indignant by the council's actions. When I opened my eyes and saw several people in black clothes leaning over me, I let out a shriek and tried to jerk away. There was the sensation of a painful prick in my arm, and I kicked out with both legs. I caught one of the black suits in the gut, and he went down with a pained grunt. I scrambled out of bed, catching the other's neck in the crook of my elbow and sending him to the floor as well. Gripping my arm, I glared at the intruders, neither of whom I could see well in the dark. "Who are you?" As soon as I stood, I realized I must have been drugged. My head was swimming, my vision going dark with black spots. You have 5 minutes left of work? But this customer isn't even close to being done. You're gonna be here so late. My gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Were they trying to sedate me? What did they do to me? There were medical instruments and several small vials. What in the world? Do it. It will be difficult when she's awake. A familiar figure stepped from the deeper shadows by the door. What was she doing here? Real, get out of here. You are my enemy. You were supposed to sedate her. She moved before we could administer the full dose. What? She moved closer to me, and I staggered back, feeling the room was spinning away from me. I had to get away from here. Relax. This will be less painful if you don't fight it. Her size shone blood red in the dark. eerie and threatening. Shaking my head, I tried to move away from her, but only staggered back against the wall. I felt a hand on my forehead and desperately swatted it away. No, no! Gathering my sigh, I flung a wild attempt at a sigh burst her way. That was the sigh burst. That's what I was trying to be. In my current state, it was difficult to focus, but at the very least, it startled her enough I could push past and back into the far corner. Have to fight back. I let my sigh coil inside me again. A tight, dense coil. If I released a sigh burst, like I'd done in the training room, I could end up hurting someone. But if it was the only way to protect myself, I released my sigh. Wincing at the painful way it whipped away from me, flashing through the room in a dangerous whirl. The lights flickered on, then off, a strange electric zapping sound filling the air, like a small electric power surge. The sigh burst wasn't as strong as the one from the training room, but it was enough to send the black suits fleeing into the other room. Struggling to stay focused, I tried to lash out with a tendril of sigh, striking the lamp from the table and sending it flying towards Lethe. She batted it away with a shield, the same one she'd used to defend against the sigh burst, but I didn't stop. I just lashed out over and over, grabbing anything I could to fling at her, whipping it around the room or hurling condensed bundles of it at her. I half expected her to throw an attack my way in retaliation, but no. Though I lost sight of her under the barrage of objects and sigh, I sensed when she retreated. By that point, I was beyond all reason, frantic and sobbing. I kept lashing out until I was too exhausted to keep it up. Why? Why would they do something like this? I gripped my head and slid down the wall, too dizzy to keep on my feet, but I kept glaring at the door, expanding my sphere through my apartment until I was convinced I was alone. I wanted to sleep. I wanted to rest. But if I did, they'd come back. So I had to stay awake and wait. Wow! I gotta say, I liked the bad ending one better. You forgot that this also changes the next scene a bit as well. Oh! Okay, well, I'm definitely loading up how I had it before. Because, you know, that was my first intuition, you know. Whoa! I liked the bad ending one version better. It was more dramatic, you know, with the whole, like, we totally ripped up that room. You know, we were screaming and stuff at them. We hurt some folks. That was very exciting. Probably going to lead me to a bad ending at some point. But you know what? I have points, okay? I have points. We're just going to go with it. Well, everybody, this game is awesome. It's so exciting. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. And Magnus, you know, Magnus is rather deep, you know. He's got some secrets. There's some stuff going on with him. What is going to happen indeed? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you had fun. I sure did. And the next time we see each other will be on Monday for our regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's when I stream. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I believe midnight UK time. And it's like 9 or 10 a.m. in Australia, something like that. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In Australia, it's like the next day. Australia is ahead. But anyway, yes, I hope you had a good time. I sure did. Wow, Magnus's route is exciting. And he's chef's kiss. He's chef's kiss. I really like the way that he defended us with the council. You know, he tried to throw himself under the bus for our benefit, you know. It's pretty amazing. He's pretty wonderful. I love him so far. I really love him. He's not trash at all. Well, I guess we have heard that he's a liar. We've heard he's a liar, and we know that he's up to something. And we've actually seen him being manipulative, you know? Like, he's manipulative with this council, and he's been kind of acting a little manipulative with MC as well. So it's kind of hard to know for sure what he's saying that's true and what's a lie, and what he's doing behind the scenes to kind of create some sort of outcome that he wants to see. It's at this point, it's not clear what's going on with him. The part where he made people mad is towards the end. Okay, so he's not a trash bando yet. We have to wait till the very end. I hope he doesn't betray us. I hope you don't betray us, Magnus, because we love you desperately. But it's going to be exciting no matter what it is. It's going to be a good show. So, if you want more of this, make sure to come back next time. Define betrayal. Esh, how could you? Meryl's over there eating popcorn. I don't trust y'all. Y'all gonna throw me into the sharks. You're gonna throw me in the water and be like, Rue can sink or swim. But I do love angst, okay? I love drama. It's so good. I love this. This game is amazing. Well, if you want more of this, if you're new here, hi, I'm Rue Jitterrue, and I'm desperately obsessed with romance games. Yes. And if you are also at the edge of your seat waiting to find out what happens next, make sure to give this stream a like, give me a subscribe, a follow on the Twitch, because guess what, Stunners? We are going to be doing more of this next week on Monday. I'll see you then. We're going to find out what happens. Whew. And if you're on Twitch, we're going to raid somebody and spread the love. And if you're on YouTube, thank you for being here. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye!